going on, dudes and dudettes? So yeah, I want to start off with some more bit of important news, at least for myself, instead of the USC stuff, really quick. So yeah, Duke the other day on Monday, they had to play on Monday. Pretty big primetime game against Clemson. He's in their ACC conference, and yeah, it was a great game because Duke ended up getting that upset win over that team, who was like number 6 or 9. I forget what they were, but they were definitely a top 10 team at the time on Monday. But yeah, they won that game 28-7, so that was nice to see. And then even after that, the start of this week, the AP poll ended up putting them as the number 21 team in the nation, and I think they even jumped over that Clemson team as well. So that's pretty cool to see. As also, obviously USC still stayed around where they were, but get into them a little bit later. But yeah, it was a great victory. The defense looked great. I mean, for some reason, it just looked like Clemson, no matter whenever they got in close to the red zone, then all of a sudden there was a fumble or they weren't able to convert anything. They missed a lot of field goals and stuff. So, yeah, either way, it was, definitely wasn't their day, wasn't their game. And the Duke, the crazies, as they say, during the basketball games came out and showed some good support for that team as they were able to get that victory. Hopefully, they are able to put up some more victories during the season, because this was one of their games I had them losing, because I had them going like 9-3 or something like that. But I mean, this already could be a 10-2 team, so we'll see where they end up at the end of the year. But yes, definitely looking forward to seeing this Duke team play and Riley Leonard play for the rest of the season. And then the Lakers did make a pretty big splash signing. I think it's one of their final roster spots that they have left on their team. They did get the power forward / center Christian Wood, who was recently with Dallas and started his career with like Houston and Detroit, teams like that. I liked him when he was in Detroit. Thought he was a very good player, pretty young, talented guy. Wanted them to trade for him, but I think that was when he got traded to Houston and eventually ended up going to Dallas, something like that. I forget how many places he's been. Maybe he went to Philly too. But yeah, either way, he's a very talented dude. He does like kind of have a bit more of those ups and downs in his career, because there are times when he looks like a great all-star type of player, whether it's on both offense and defense, especially on the offensive side, but then all of a sudden he goes through lulls or has problems with coaches or teammates. So this could be a good and bad thing. It is a 2-year deal. I think the second year is a player option, again, like most of these tier guys, and they were basically able to get him on the veteran minimum as well. So obviously, if he does play well, he's most likely going to use that, or not use that player option and go to free agency. But either way, the Lakers now had depth at that power forward / center position to help out Anthony Davis. So either way, I think it's a positive thing for my LA Lakers. And yeah, sadly, I did mention the other day that after, or actually during the game, offensive lineman Gino Quinones was helped off the field, wasn't able to pretty much walk off on his own power, and was eventually carted off as well. They just kept saying it was a lower leg injury, never really saying the exact injury. They're pretty much still saying that, but yes, sadly, yesterday Lincoln Riley did say that he is going to be out for the rest of the year, which does suck because he was pretty much kind of starting here and there for these first couple of games, but then he was also like the second string to a lot of other spots on the offensive line. They believe that they still have a lot of other good guys to be able to plug in there and be able to help with the depth as well, but it is a big time loss, and Lincoln Riley did say he expects him to be back better than ever next season. So he still does have some eligibility left, so that's a good thing for him going into his NFL future. So definitely very excited about that. And yes, as I did mention when I was talking about Duke's place in the AP poll, yes, USC pretty much still stayed the same at number 6, even though it was another big-time victory. They're 2-0. But I think the team that jumped ahead of them was Florida State. But then the team ahead of them was LSU, that they did beat. Florida State did. But USC still kind of just stays the same, even though Ohio State, I don't know if Ohio State is ahead of them in that AP poll. I didn't really check it out. But yeah, they didn't play well at all against Indiana, who is, a conference team, but they aren't one of the better teams in that conference in the Big Ten. So they did struggle quite a bit against that team, but they're still ranked higher than USC, I guess. So we'll see when these next couple of games end up happening, if USC ends up leapfrogging some of these other teams or not. And then, yes, with those two first games, of the season for USC. They've scored 50 plus points in both of those games, and it's the first time, I believe, since 2015 at USC that they've been able to do that as a team. So that's pretty cool. I'm trying to remember that year, but yeah, it seems like it's so far away to remember who was on the team at the time. Maybe that was a Sam Darnold. Maybe it was right before him, like a Cody Kessler team. I don't know. I don't even remember the head coaches at the time. But yeah, other than that, it's a great accomplishment either way. So yeah, congrats to those guys and the team right now. And then Vanessa Bryant recently said or announced that the Mamba Foundation and the Mamacita Foundation are going to be partnering up with at least 6 collegiate schools right at this moment. There are probably more plans in the future, but as of right now, they're going to roll out with these 6 teams. And of course, both USC and Duke did make the list. I'm not surprised because I believe her oldest daughter goes to USC, so that wasn't that surprising. And then also Duke, I mean, Coach K and Kobe Bryant loved each other as far as, competitors and on the basketball court, so it's not a surprise there either. So yeah, definitely very cool that they're rolling out with these partners with this foundation, and they picked both of my favorite schools, so that's pretty cool. So Caleb Williams' dad was recently interviewed and said that if some of the team, especially if the number 1 team up top of the NFL draft is a place that Caleb Williams does not want to end up going to play for, he's not going to hold out and basically say, yeah, trade me or whatever. He's probably just going to end up coming back to USC for another year, which sounds crazy, but if he does end up coming back for another year, I've talked about this before, that there is a possibility that this could happen just because he'll get more money for staying one more year at USC compared to his first 2 or 3 years of his NFL contract or something like that, at least for 1 year, because that rookie contract is pretty low nowadays, even if you're a number 1 pick. But yeah, I think I remember saying that this was only a possibility if USC got to the Final Four, and say if USC's in the championship game and he loses the championship game and is very pissed off about that, because he always talks about legacy, especially in college, and he says that one of his main goals that he wrote down is to be a national champion in college. And if you're that close and you're that much of a competitor, why would you not want to come back if you feel like most of the team is being stayed intact and you still have a chance to be able to be a year better and all that stuff? But yeah, I just think that would be only the competitive reason why he would. Money-wise, you're probably better off going to have that stability at least the next 4 years. But I mean, if it is Washington, who looks like they're trying to tank and be the number 1 team to get him, that's obviously DC is where he grew up, so I would not be surprised if he still went because of that team. But if it's in Arizona, who just looks like a dumpster fire because they're getting rid of a lot of their talented players around them, so they're definitely really trying to tank for that first round pick. But it's why would I want to go there if I'm a very talented player and there's no good enough guys to block for me on the offensive line, and not really going to want to be part of a rebuild? You could do that quicker in college compared to the NFL, obviously. But yeah, I understand, I guess, where Caleb's father is coming from that statement, but it all depends on Caleb and what he wants to do eventually when that time comes later in the season. And then yes, Julie Ertz, or Julie Johnston, from when I used to remember and like her even more, I always thought she was going to be the future Mrs. X Carlos. But yeah, she played for Team USA Soccer pretty much, and now that professional women's league that they have now. But yeah, sadly she did announce her retirement the other day, which sucks because she was definitely one of the better defensive players, and at times in a couple past Olympics she was one of the better scorers too, at times headers from the corner for Team USA. So definitely gonna miss her energy and stuff on the field, because she's been definitely one of the brighter spots, best players for the Team USA women's side. So yes, congrats to her on a great career, and Zach Ertz, you're one lucky mother effer. The Chargers did make another addition to their practice squad, adding somewhat of a veteran. He's a pretty young dude, and a cornerback, Chris Wilcox, who recently also came from the Pittsburgh Steelers, kind of like Tanner Muse as well. But yeah, he's a pretty talented dude. I forget where he went. I read it the other day, but it's been a couple of days since then. I forgot. So it was an okay school at least. But yeah, another addition to add to your practice squad, and he's still young enough to be able to contribute. Maybe he could earn a contract down the line, and I heard he's a pretty fast guy as well, so that might end up helping him to get onto like the kick team, return team, stuff like that to help him out. And then recently, a 2025 four-star player, I think he's like a power forward because he's like 6'9". I want to say his name is Nico Bundalo. Yes, Nico Bundalo. Recently set up a September 22nd visit to Duke. I think he has other top places like Ohio State and all those other places he's already recently putting up to visit. So yeah, this guy is definitely highly talented and highly sought after. But like I said, Duke doesn't just bring in anybody. So definitely looking forward to see if we end up getting him in the near future. And to finish this video off, yes, I was maybe going to add my fantasy football results and kind of like the history of, Yahoo Fantasy people, their company doubting me and giving me bad grades and me still ending up, as one of the top teams to finish, whether it's winning, coming in second place or third or fourth, so at least still making the playoffs, and they still don't believe in me. But yeah, I'll probably get into that in a separate video at some point later this week, maybe right before the games. Well, actually, what is it, tomorrow, Thursday? So I might throw it up Thursday or Friday. You never know, but I wanted to get into Team USA basketball because they've been pretty much going through a pretty crazy whirlwind, because the other day they did play Team Montenegro against Nikola Vucevic, an ex-USC player, but they were able to beat Montenegro 85-73. Anthony Edwards did have 17 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 steals. So like I said, yes, he's been one of their more consistent guys. This was definitely one of the closer games during these real FIBA games. I think Greece was close in the lead-up games. Even Spain was, the ones prior, the exhibition ones. But they even replayed Greece once they got into this FIBA competition and destroyed them. So yeah, Montenegro did definitely do some stuff. They start off hot, but this is like the problem for this Team USA, is that they kind of get on these lulls in the beginning and have to work their way up. So yeah, it kind of caught up to them, because in the very next game they had to play against Lithuania, who doesn't really have, Jonas Valanciunas, who's a pretty good NBA player, and this guy Monte Eunice, who was drafted very high, I believe, but he never really panned out in the NBA. But obviously when you're playing for your country, you end up playing a lot better. But this game was crazy because Team USA ended up losing 110-104. So it was a lot closer in the end than it was, but they still were down by quite a bit. Edwards did step up with 35 points, 3 steals, and 2 assists. But yeah, in the end, it wasn't enough to be able to get this. And looking through the highlights, the full game highlights, it did seem like there was at least, 6 to 10 points that Lithuania got that they probably should not have gotten, just because of how luck, because sometimes they just threw it up or did some random stuff like late in the shot clock and it went in, and they were just hot from 3, especially to start off the game. I think Team USA was down by like 20 plus in the first quarter already, just because of how many more threes Lithuania was making compared to USA. But yeah, it was just weird because that's obviously not the game, and I don't know if the highlights didn't show it, but it just seemed like USA was trying to just still get into that lead no matter how much they can do it, like going for 2-pointers and trying to get jump shots and layups, but not get a lot of threes. So they just methodically got it back into this game, but it just took forever, because by then Lithuania already had built up a lead and you had a foul, and of course they made their foul shot. So either way, it wasn't good for them. It was their first loss of this competition, but for some reason I guess you still are able to play, because they ended up getting a match with Italy a couple of days after that. But it did say right at that time too that they had already qualified with the amount of wins for the 2024 Summer Olympics for their Team USA stuff. So it was kind of weird, because I didn't know if that announcement came right before this game or right after it either, because how would they get it by their wins if they had just lost to a team but somehow they got in, unless some other teams won and that helped them get up automatically or something. I don't know, but maybe they heard this news that they were already qualified and didn't really care, but they wanted to still try to make it close so that they didn't just give up on this game, because maybe they kind of figured out that they still had to play eventually. But yeah, they did end up playing Italy the very next couple of days, and they were able to demolished them as well. Got that victory 100-63. Mikal Bridges got 24 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 steals. So yes, a lot better game. I don't know how Italy made it that far if they were this bad, but I'm pretty sure this competition might still continue. I don't know. I did not hear anything officially other than like Austin Reeves had a nice putback dunk in this game, but other than that, yeah, I don't know if they're still continuing to play. I will let you all know in the next couple videos if that does end up happening, or if they end up having to play Lithuania. That would be great for them to get that rematch game done and be able to destroy them also, but we will see. So yes, thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.